Welcome to Culture Shock Live. We are here in the flesh. We're ready to go. I'm Vinny Vegas. How are you guys this evening? What is going on, man? It's been a fun week. Breaking news already from Matt Panetta. WWE releases Keith Lee, Mia Yim, Harry Smith, Nia Jax, Eva Marie, blah, 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 blah. Wow. Ember Moon, holy shit. That's wild. Oh, there's more. Never heard of them. I can see why they got released. Never heard of them. Oh, I mean, comes with the territory, I guess. Yeah, that's wild. What is up, Richard Simpson? How are you? I'm gonna bring on the co-host, man. We got a packed show tonight. Here he is, the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Ethan Thompson. How are you, Ethan?
What's good, people? How's it
What's going on, bro?
What a week.
Wild week, man. We had a great show last week, the Halloween episode, the one chip challenge.
Dude, fantastic, bro.
How's Crystal doing? She all right?
Bro, that chick was eating hot sauce with her dinner after that show. I'm like, I look at her, I'm like, what are you doing? Eating dinner? I was like, is that hot sauce? Yeah. Okay.
The bully's back in town. Joey V, how are you, Joey?
I am live and in color.
Joey's back. We got Mr. Dan McMahon on with us tonight. Jay is sick. I called him and he looks like death, so he won't be on.
Feel better, buddy.
He looked messed up, man. But welcome to the show, guys, and welcome everybody. We got Mr. Dan McMahon on with us tonight. We're gonna talk some belts, right? Among other things, not just belts, other things too. But tonight, don't forget, tonight's a big night for us. Tonight's a big night for us, man.
That's what I'm talking about.
What drops at midnight, bro?
Already downloaded, just waiting.
I'm gonna fuck you all up, man.
I got 9 o'clock marked down and ready to go.
You know the fucking vibes.
I didn't download it. I'm buying it tomorrow.
Joey's still researching, bro.
I'm buying it tomorrow.
Joey's still doing that research, bro.
Thanks, man. Yeah, Call of Duty Vanguard drops tonight. We'll be busy all night playing that. Not Call of Booty, by the way. Call of Duty. And anything else happened this week, guys? Before we bring the man of the hour on, anything new? Anything popping?
Oh, besides that Henry Ruggs thing, not much. You know,
my boy in trouble. Just got some WWE releases. That's crazy, man. That's a lot of people.
Yeah, it's been a fiery week.
But I'll tell you right now, I saw other people doing the one chip challenge, man. Congratulations to everybody that even made it.
Whoever attempted it.
Because I ain't doing shit. I ain't doing that. I'll tell you that right now. I don't mess with that stuff. I don't mess with that stuff, man. For real.
I'm messing with my Kill Cliff CBD, so I'm good.
Oh, that's good shit. All right, let's bring him on, shall we? Ladies and gentlemen, you know who this is. He is he's well known not only in the hobby but outside in wrestling in general, right? I could go as far to say in wrestling in general, he is a staple in pro wrestling, and he's definitely beefed up a bit since I last seen him. He's been taking advantage of the COVID time. Here he is, ladies and gentlemen. I bring to you the one and only Mr. Dan I Am. There he is.
Hey guys.
Dan. I saw you there, and I was like, "Yo, you definitely grew a bit, man." I'm a little jealous. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie, man. You've been beefed up.
Yeah. COVID. First few months of COVID, started packing on the weight, and then when we realized this wasn't gonna go away anytime soon, decided to make a little investment in yourself. Turned half of the garage into a little bit of a gym. Set up. I got a squat tower, squat rack, and some dumbbells, some free weights, and been hitting it an hour a day at my lunch break. I eat lunch at my desk, and then I hit home for the gym.
There he goes, bro. Well, good. Congratulations. You've used your time a lot more wisely than I have. I'll tell you that right now.
Right.
I haven't been to a gym in about 7 years, I'd say. But You know, I'm still kicking. But I'll get there, Dan. I'll get there.
Never too late.
Never too late, right? So you've been busy, man. You've been a busy boy.
Always.
I've been creeping on your timeline, and my goodness gracious, what a year! What a couple years, right?
Yeah. Very good. Last few years, the momentum started slowly. The snowball's rolling downhill, and the brakes aren't coming on anytime soon. I'm working tonight, working tomorrow, working.
Okay.
Staying busy.
So by the brakes not coming off anytime soon, that means there's a lot more ahead.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
There's a ton ahead. There's going to be stuff for TV. There's stuff for collectors. There's stuff for celebrities. There's stuff for foreign companies. You know, it's all going to come out eventually, but I can't spoil anything because a lot of these companies make me sign NDAs, and
yeah,
you know, if I'm leaking belts, they're not going. Other people won't have me make their belts, so I only post what I'm allowed to post. I ask for permission. That way, everything's on the up and up. Nobody gets in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes, you know, I learned that lesson the hard way. You know, every once in a while, I try jumping the gun a little bit, and that kind of bites you. So.
Are you allowed to talk about how things came to fruition with, you know, the deals with how these belts were made and all that, the designs and everything that was sent to you? How much are you allowed to talk about in regards to that?
I can go a little bit in depth on some of them.
All right, guys, where do we want to start? What belt should we start with here?
I wanted to ask this, like, do you get overwhelmed with like all these like offers, and do you have to like turn some down because you have a lot on your plate?
Yes. That's a great spot to be in, where I can start picking and choosing my work, but it wasn't always like that. There were times where I was, you know, things dried up, so I was taking side jobs, doing whatever I can. As far as, you know, I helped other belt makers out if it was doing some plating work for them, doing some straps. So now that I'm overwhelmed with the work, I take on only the amounts I can handle. I don't want to get into the situation like other belt makers have gotten to, where they have a really long wait and then just end up flaking out. So a lot of people are on me about my pricing. Like my pricing isn't based on the quality of my work. The pricing is based on the value of my time. So I only have so many cycles to dedicate to belts, and I basically have to just sell my time to the highest bidder. You know, if there was more hours in the day, I'd be taking on more work and my prices would be more competitive. But at this point, I kind of have a little bit of a demand and a little bit of a name now. So I'm getting calls from big companies, and some people you can't say no to, but some people, unfortunately, you have to pass it on. And just quick story. NWA ran into an issue with their TV title. What happened was, let's see how this works. Yeah. So what happened was that the TV title they were using was lent to them by Dave Milliken, but it was lent to one of the producers. And then when the producer no longer worked for NWA, he had to take the belt back because Dave trusted him with the belt, not the company. So unfortunately, I've had several of the champions who have held the TV title want copies of the belt for themselves. And with respect to Reggie Parks, I told him I'm not going to make a copy of it unless we get his permission or his blessing. And nothing was ever, they didn't contact him, or they never heard back, or whatever the case may be. I offered to do custom design, but they wanted the traditional, the classic belt. And I totally understand why, because it's probably one of the nicest and most popular belts. But I wasn't going to step on Reggie's toes without permission. So I had to pass on that. So other people picked it up, but it's good exposure for other people. And it, you know, I'm not going to say that they shouldn't have done it. Everybody has to make their own decisions. But for me personally, especially my stance in the hobby, as far as, you know, authentic and bootleg belts go, I feel it was right. So I asked for permission. If I don't get it, you know, I've lost some big contracts in the past because I wouldn't make copies of Dave and Reggie belts for people. So that's part of the business.
Yeah.
So, but you're a guy that doesn't even have to advertise. Like, I guess we'll call it your profession in a sense, but you don't even have to advertise. There's no advertisement. It's all word of mouth, right?
Right. When I started, the two people that really put me over and spread my name around was David Marquez and Conrad. And when Conrad started doing the podcasts, he was the one who really pushed me to say, like, you know, don't do this as a hobby. You can do this. You can do this on the level of Dave and Jamar and all the other guys. And I said, all right. And at the time, he's like, I'm starting this new podcast with Bruce Pritchard. Why don't we work something out? Maybe you can be our sponsor. So we worked out a deal, and I was the first sponsor of Something to Wrestle with Bruce Pritchard, and I was the first sponsor of What Happened When with Tony Schiavone.
Oh, nice.
And I haven't advertised on those podcasts in 4 years, because, you know, those podcasts have blown up, and I couldn't afford to advertise on them even if I wanted to. But I still get emails daily from the listeners saying, you know, I heard about you from Conrad's podcast. Can you do a belt, this, that, and the other stuff? And
you don't need the business, do you, at this point?
You can't keep the attitude that, like, you're too good for people, because I made my name doing side jobs for collectors. I got my training basically fixing broken belts that other belt makers wouldn't touch. So, you know, I'm always going to be a collector first. I'm always going to be a belt fan. The day that I'm no longer a belt fan, the day I'm no longer into belts, is the day I'm going to stop making belts.
Right.
So, you know, you don't forget where you came from. And even if I'm not going to be able to do the amount of customs for private clients, I'm still going to always make time when I can for you guys.
It's funny how you talked about the Reggie getting his permission and all that. It's actually a good segue. This picture here you are with Reggie. May you rest in peace. What happened here? What was the context of this photo?
So every year there was the NWA Legends fan convention that was held in Charlotte, North Carolina. And for a long time, it was like the unofficial meetup from the belt groups. We all started, well, all of us old guys go back to the Yahoo days back in 1998, 1999, when there was, you know, 20 of us.
Right.
And the original convention was a Wrestle Reunion in Florida. And then NWA Legends became the convention. So, you know, every year that was our vacation. We'd go, we'd meet up, and in the Charlotte Hilton, we'd get really drunk and we'd talk belts, and it kind of grew into its own thing, to the point where we would just bring our belts down to the lobby and just set them up and just talk, and like people would walk by, and you know, they kind of got mad at us. They thought we were trying to like hijack the convention. It's like, no, we all have our wristbands. We all paid our admission. We all bought hotel rooms here. We were all dropping a ton of money at the bar. You know, this is just a different aspect of what you guys are off. Like we wouldn't be able to do it without your convention. And, you know, I talked to the people who ran the convention, and, you know, I apologize for stepping on their toes, and we made it right. And at one point, you know, they said, hey, why don't all you guys bring your Reggie belts down, and we'll get a big group. So what happened was NWA Legends is doing this thing called, well, they were doing it. It's called the Hall of Heroes, and it was like their version of the Hall of Fame.
Right.
And they were asking for a while about, like, you know, who should be inducted, and they have like different categories. And I was pushing that Reggie be inducted into it. And I was always thinking that Reggie deserves to be in the WWE Hall of Fame, but that's a very wide array to try to cast a little voice in.
True.
To get recognized. Whereas this is a smaller Hall of Fame, my voice can speak a little bit louder, and, you know, I think it picked up steam with a lot of people in the belt community, and a lot of people started saying, hey, put Reggie Parks in. And that year, Reggie was put into the NWA Legends Hall of Heroes, not only because of his history and career of making belts, but also his time as a wrestler. A lot of people don't fully understand that before making belts, Reggie was a wrestler. Reggie was a strongman. Like, Reggie has a very interesting history as far as what he's accomplished, just in his life, even
Right.
outside of belts. So, you know, it was someone I've talked to before, but that was the first time I got to meet him in person, and I got to sit at his table for the introduction, or the induction banquet. And, you know, we got talking, and Dave Milliken introduced me, and he finally put the name with the face, and Dave really put me over with him and letting him know like how much I've helped their brand over the past decade at that time. And it was really great to finally meet him in person. So
That's
I had to
amazing.
get a photo op with him.
How close were you with him? Were you pretty close?
With Reggie?
Yeah.
No, I was not close to him at all. It was
Okay.
he wasn't somebody that did internet or email. If you wanted to talk to Reggie, you had to call him up on the phone.
Right.
So very few interactions with him that way. Most of the time I would deal with other people through Reggie who were a little bit more technology oriented. And then
Gotcha.
there's people who live close to Reggie who was like, oh yeah, I if you want this, you know, just send me the check, make it out to Reggie, I'll give it to him, and then I'll go to his house, pick up the belt, and then ship it to you. So
Okay.
it was easier doing that than, you know, trying to call or trying to go through Rico, which I'm glad I didn't.
Yeah. I also had one question with the licensing now. You know, now that he's passed, what happens to the licenses that he owns? Do they go to his family? How does that work? Any idea?
I wouldn't know 100%. This is everything I'm about to say is pretty much pure speculation based on the little that I do know. I would assume that based on what I've seen in the past, that Reggie's designs, all of that is property of the business, property of the LLC.
Okay.
So even though he passed, I believe it's still property of the LLC. So Dave and Rico, in my opinion, would still be the owners of it.
Wow.
My understanding, though, is if there's anyone out there who has an outstanding order with Reggie, you should probably contact the Attorney General in his state of residency, which is Arizona. You got to send a mail certified letter explaining the situation. And then somebody on Belt Talk kind of posted some information about how you can try to claim whatever you're owed through the estate when you know his assets are being divided.
Wow.
So unfortunately, that's the way you're going to have to go. And then there's a bunch of people out there who bought orders secondhand, and unfortunately there's really no recourse for those people. It's a really bad situation. I'm sorry that people got sucked into it. And
What
it
exactly
doesn't
happened
excuse
with
some
that, Dan?
behavior going on. Excuse me?
What happened? Like, were people taking orders for him without him even knowing and just keeping the money? What was going on?
There's several theories, and this is part of the problem, that there's been radio silence from Dave and Rico. They won't make any type of updates. They won't set the record straight. They won't confirm or deny rumors. They just muted out everyone, and then they block you if you come at them a little hostile. But the original issue with Dave and Reggie was Reggie's etcher in Tucson, a guy named Ted. Apparently he screwed up several dozen plates, not only for Reggie and Dave, but for also some other people who were using his etching services.
Okay.
And the guy was old enough that he just decided to close up shop. So he technically went out of business. And the story I heard was that Reggie, Dave, and Rico all flew there in person, and they took whatever plates they thought they could salvage, and they took all of the hard copies of the artwork. A lot of people falsely credit Reggie for designing the belts on his own. Many of these classic designs were designed by Reggie and Ted, the etcher himself. Back in the day, they had all these clip art books, and what they would do is, for the kids who don't know what clip art is, it's a book with a picture, black and white picture that you would literally cut out and glue onto another piece of paper, and you'd make photocopies, and eventually you'd get a design that kind of looks like the digital artwork that you see of belts today. And then that's what would be used as the negative, the photo negative for the acid etching. So they Dave and Rico took all the hard copies they could, even though there are digital copies, which apparently leaked out to a couple of people out there. So that's a whole other story that is really sad. But
Yeah.
basically the plates, most of them were not able to be salvaged, or they need a ton of money put into them to make them look good. And right when it happened, I offered my help, and Dave Milliken sent me a couple of sets of plates that needed some touching up, and I touched them up and I sent him a few back, and he started getting real flaky, and he owed me money and he owed me belts. And I told him, I'm not sending you the rest of your plates back until I get what's owed to me. And I've had plates that Dave sent me that I fixed and restored, and they're brand new, that have been sitting in my basement going on 6 years now.
Wow.
It's such a
But
waste.
I think the issue is they don't want to pay out of pocket to have the plates remade, or they're just doing it very slowly. It's turned into like a pyramid scheme where they have to take new orders and then siphon some of the profit from that to make up the old orders. And then the other aspect of what you were saying, there are people out there who believe that Rico, who was taking orders for Reggie, never either ordered the plates or never told Reggie about the orders themselves. You know, if you ordered a belt, if you were one of those people who had Reggie's phone number, or if you saw Reggie at the Cauliflower Alley convention and you can order a belt from him directly, you would get that belt in under a year. Meanwhile, there's people who ordered Reggie belts through Rico who, you know, at this point they're at 9-10 years. And you'd ask Reggie about it, and he'd say, I don't have any outstanding orders. I got to talk to Rico. And I brought this to Dave's attention. I go, why is Reggie able to bust out a belt for me in 3 months when there's people waiting 6 years? He says he doesn't have any back orders. And Dave's exact words to me was, well, Reggie doesn't know what he had for breakfast yesterday. So he was trying to insinuate that Reggie was starting to get memory issues.
That's dirty.
When you saw Reggie in person and you talked to him, the guy was still sharp as a tack right up to the end. Anyone who's at the Cauliflower Alley convention, he was there. You know, unfortunately, that's where he supposedly got COVID.
Yeah.
The last one. So there were people who talked to him, and he seemed like he was in good spirits. You know, he was 86. So, you know, he wasn't young by any means, but he was still getting around on his own. He's still fully cognitive. So I think that was just kind of one of those things being put out there to kind of cast doubt into what was truly going on. And it's a sad story all around, and, you know, it'll make for a really good Dark Side of the Ring one day, but
I agree.
We don't know what the ending is going to be yet. So,
well, and all this bad business practice and everything just threw the fuel to the fire to the bootleg market, right?
Yeah. Yes and no. For a lot of the people who don't know anything about belts, you come into the hobby and you see what's going on, and it's easy to go to bootlegs. Those are the people who I think are impacted by it. But the people who've been in the hobby the longest, this is where the difference of opinion between myself and many of the people in Facebook come. You want to say that having a J-Mar bootleg is okay because, you know, J-Mar owes people belts 20 years ago. Okay. You want to say it's okay to bootleg Dave and Reggie because they owe you a belt from 10 years ago. You know, you can understand that for a certain point. Like if you paid Dave for a belt and you're still waiting for it 5 years later, and you go out and you buy a bootleg of that same belt, I don't really have a problem with that. But what it comes down to is like the mental gymnastics that a lot of people do to justify the bootlegs. So when you get into belt makers like Wildcat, like Top Rope, like myself, like Champion Craft, like Loomis, all of the guys who are still doing this, all of us who are committed to fulfilling our orders on time, what is the justification for stealing our work? You know, Gavin of Main Event Belts, he made the Super Kick Party belts for the Young Bucks, and they wore them on Ring of Honor television. They wore them at Wrestle Kingdom for New Japan, and he knew that there was going to be people who couldn't afford his top tier line belts.
Right.
So he offered a budget version for like $350, and then there was still tons of people who went out and got bootlegs of it. So it's really tough to try to justify the bootlegging in that situation. You know, there are belts.
I do think that though, it is kind of intimidating when you're getting into the belt hobby and you know nothing.
Yeah.
To approach an American maker,
Yeah.
it's super intimidating because like there's not a lot of people you can go to. You have no clue about licensing or anything like that. So, you get on these groups and eBay and it's like you learn the hard way. Honestly, you learn the hard way with your money. We all did. I did.
But eBay and Facebook and Amazon with the bootlegs, unfortunately, it's only going to be cleaned up when WWE decides to do it because they're the only people who really have the power and the legal representation to actually make a dent in it. There was a time where I was made proxy by Midwest NJMR to report the bootlegs on eBay, and those auctions would be pulled within 24 hours based on their bureau program. And then after a while, we were pulling 100 auctions a day, and then they would relist 200 auctions the next day. They weren't suspending any of the seller accounts because they wanted to get the fees.
Right.
So at the end of the day, it all comes down to money.
Right.
But I think WWE is doing a better job in one aspect. Their belts, their shop belts. Your classic tags, your dual plated winged eagle they just dropped. All these belts are just vastly superior than 99.9% of any boot you can get.
Right. I think there's some new people there because within the last 2 years, it seems like a night and day difference as far as I'm listening to the belt collectors and the belt community. And somebody within WWE once told me, they said they're not going to do anything about the bootlegs until they notice it in their pocketbook, when they notice the financial impact. And WWE at the time, this was years ago, they were doing over $1 million profit in replica belt sales in a year. And, that number is probably in the tens of millions now. It's big business. So when you start seeing 1,000 auctions on eBay and only 200 of them are authentic WWE shop belts and the rest are counterfeits, then they're going to take notice to that. And unfortunately, with the way intellectual property laws work and trying to enforce that in Pakistan, it's easier for them to go after people in the United States and the UK. So they will come after legitimate belt makers. And WWE took down 42 of my Instagram posts 2 weeks ago.
Really?
And they was not for bootlegs because my company, Belts by Dan, we offer custom side plates, custom. I do not use any WWE trademarks or copyrighted images. But because on my Instagram page, I displayed the custom side plates on a WWE replica belt, their claim was that was a false representation of the product. So,
wow.
They pick and choose their battles. Like I've had to speak to one of their legal representatives several times. There was a point where they came after me for ring use belts, saying that WWE does not sell ring use belts. They do. The belts I sell are not ring used. I don't have permission to sell them. Cease and desist, blah, blah, blah. And I basically sent Matthew, I sent him the entire history of any belt I've ever sold. I told him who in the company he needs to talk to. I told him how I acquired the belt. I told him how it left WWE's hands. I told him the wrestlers that took it. I gave him a full history. And his reply back was, I'll look into it and get back to you. And I never heard from him.
Basically, fuck off, right?
Yeah. So, everything I've ever sold as ring used is 100% ring used. If I sold you a ring used belt 20 years ago and something comes out that says it's not ring used, I will give you a refund 100%, no questions asked. All right. I stand behind everything I've ever sold. But WWE, it's not actually WWE legal. They outsource their intellectual property enforcement to a third-party company who is not as educated in the hobby as us.
Right. They see the logo. They use this program, right? That uses this algorithm,
right,
to detect the WWE logo, right, on posts and all that, which takes a lot of legitimate posts down or accounts down.
Hazard F5 comes to mind. He had his post taken down, his review. I think it was a tag. I think it was the new tag. I can't remember what he was reviewing a replica, and they took it down. Got it for copyright.
Yeah, sometimes it's easier for them to go after like low-hanging fruit like that than actually take the time and effort to go after the people who are really causing a negative impact on their intellectual property. But if I'm trying to run a legitimate business, I'm trying to keep it on the straight and narrow. If anyone from WWE has a problem with anything I do, they can feel free to contact me and we can come to some kind of agreement or we can talk about it. But I think it's harassment and bullying.
Is there any point, Dan, where, say when you got the post taken down, where you just get pissed off and say, fuck it, fuck them, I'm going to do a WWE stamp on this strap, fuck them? Is there any point where it just crosses your mind at all?
No, I've had that mindset from other belt makers, like people who have ripped me off, people who have done me wrong. But you got to understand that the people who are it's not coming from WWE. It's not somebody within WWE that's saying, go after this guy, go after that guy. Right. This is the lowest of the low, where somebody from legal is outsourcing this to a third party who knows nothing about belts. They know nothing about the licensing. I know more about their licensing than they do, plain and simple.
Yeah.
All right. I'm not even a lawyer, but they're doing their job. They're doing what they're paid to do. And, unfortunately the legitimate people get caught up with that. And you get people like myself and like Shane Hazard who have larger online presence.
Right.
So it's easier to go after us than, the 50 million counterfeit guys that, they don't really have a presence. They don't have the algorithm doesn't work to promote their stuff.
Correct.
I could see like the third party not doing their research and Dan is schooling them in an email or on the phone about licensing, like giving them a rundown.
Well, at first, the first few times I was really pissed.
You probably pissed him off, Dan. Like, I don't give a fuck what he knows. He sounds better than me, but fuck it,
Well, I called people I knew within WWE, and at first I thought it was somebody trolling me. I thought it was somebody trying to mess around with me.
Yeah.
And I talked to people in WWE that I know, and they said, no, the guy's legit. He works for us. They explained the situation to me, and they're like, just talk to him. And he's a lawyer.
Yeah.
He understands logic. He understands rationale. And you make your case, you explain it, and you hope that you've done a good enough job presenting your side and the facts and the evidence to back it up, like I do with my ring used belts.
Right.
If he wants to know where I got XYZ belt from, I have no problem telling him. Every person who's purchased a ring used belt from me, part of our process, you're not just going to blindly send somebody 5 figures for a ring used belt. You're going to want pictures. You're going to want to be able to verify its authenticity. You're going to want to be able to see video or stills of it being used on TV or on paper.
How long is that process, Dan? Like selling a ring used belt, right? Say somebody comes up to you, I want a ring used belt. How long is the transaction process?
There are more people wanting ring used belts now more than ever. And
is that because of Reggie passing, or is it just in general?
This is just because I think a lot of people have extra money. I think
gotcha.
Despite what you might hear or see on the news, I think for the most part, a lot of hardworking people are doing very well, especially people who are working for themselves, independent freelancers. You don't need a corporate job to be successful now. There's so many avenues to make money on your own if you're motivated.
Right.
And I think there's people out there who are successful in business that want a piece of their childhood. So they reach out to me for a ring used belt. And unfortunately, within between 2005, 2015, the majority of the ring used belts were all consolidated into the collections of 3 or 4 major collectors.
Okay.
Dan and Conrad.
Conrad, man, yeah.
Dan Conrad and Milliken, but Milliken's selling off some of his stuff now because he needs the money apparently. And there's a couple of other big private collectors out there that I won't mention because I have business relationships with these people. Some of them want to be known. Some of them don't want me to say anything about them. They don't want anybody knowing what they have. Mm-hmm. So, for example, when A&E, when the WWE Lost Treasures show was doing casting, they originally sent me an email asking me about, different stuff. They said, we talked to a bunch of people and they all gave us your name. And I later found out that first round of interviews was actually to determine the host. And I didn't know that. And
wow.
Yeah. I don't have any experience in front of the camera, so I don't think I would have been good for that. But talking with the producers and the behind the scenes people, they were like, hey, we know you know about belts. We want you to be our belt guy. Who has this? Who has that? And I pointed them in the right direction. Like I don't keep ring used belts. I can't afford to keep that large of an investment on the shelf. I get the ring used belts. I have my time with them. I have a few days or a few weeks with them. I get to enjoy them. I take my pictures and my videos, and then I enjoy it that way. And then it's off to somebody else who hopefully makes it their forever home. But I get contacted by WWE for access. They're doing, whoever they put into the Hall of Fame, they do an access display.
Right.
So, when DDP went in, or when Goldberg went in, they wanted who had the WCW US that Goldberg held.
Right.
Like, well, there's this many versions of the belt, and this is how you tell the differences of them, and this is who I last knew had it. And then like, oh yeah, we contacted them, they have it, thanks. And Conrad's been a huge help for them too.
Sure.
So you make your connections that way, but nothing ring used is coming out. Specifically from WWE, because for the most part, WWE has never had anyone that really cared about belts until recently. Like Triple H is a huge belt fan.
Really?
And, he understands the history and value behind them. And some people might think it's crummy that they're taking the ring used belts and throwing them in a trunk. But they're ring used. They're already beat up. You don't have to keep them in pristine condition to begin with. But they know enough that they need to keep them and not give them to the wrestlers who are going to sell them when they need money, or if they wanted the money, they could auction them off. They're getting like $5,000 for signed replicas on WWE auction. If they put up a real ring used belt, they can get $50,000 for it, because there's people out there who don't know any better.
Is that the average? Is that the average price for a ring used belt right now, Dan? About $50,000?
No, ring used belts will start at around 10,000.
Oh, really?
And that would be for something common. I say common because there's more of certain belts out there in private cans. So for example, a SmackDown tag, there are more of those out there than probably any other ring used belt right now. Okay. And at one time they were going for like $3,500, and you laugh at that because everybody can pretty much afford it, but then they started going for $7,000 and $8,000, and now there hasn't been one put up for sale in several years. So that it's a seller's market. You have a huge demand for ring used belts, only a few people who have them. So when something does come up, these people don't need to sell it. They know they don't need to sell it. So it's up to the potential buyer to make an offer that makes somebody want to part with that belt.
What about the one-off belts? Like a lot of the early 90s, we had the one-off. The Warrior had, his yellow IC, or, so those are obviously.
We'll use the yellow IC, for example. Okay. The yellow IC is owned by one of the major collectors who does not want their name to be known. They have several other rare ones. So
sorry.
I had somebody come to me and they said, hey, Dan, I'm looking for a ring used IC. And I told them what was out there. And I said, he's like, do you know what happened to the Warrior one? Yeah, I know where it is. I go, the guy's not going to sell it. He goes, make him an offer. I go, it's going to have to be a big offer. He goes,
oh boy,
I know how to negotiate. I go, okay. He goes, offer him 30,000, see what he says. Pop out my phone, text. Hey, this is, how you been? Blah, blah, blah. We haven't talked about. I know you don't sell any stuff, but I promised a good friend, I just inquire. You still got the Warrior IC? Yup. 30,000? Nope. He goes, I got offered 60 for it last year at a convention. I'm still not selling it.
Wow.
We have the conversations. Like I said, these people are successful in their life. Money, they have money. They don't need more money. These people are well off. It's not rich, it's wealth, which means you're passing that on to your next generation and to your grandchildren. that's real money. It's not somebody who just got rich playing the lottery and that money is going to probably be gone before they pass. So in order to get something rare like a ring used belt like that, the only way you can usually pry these out of those collections is to offer them something just as rare, just as unique, or something that traditionally money can't buy. So if you were trying to get that belt, for example, you might have to offer another one-off ring used belt of, equal rarity and held by people held in the equal prestige. That's how you're going to get a ring used belt of that caliber.
Wow. I have a question for Ethan, by the way. I'm going to ask you. We've been trying to figure this out.
I'm never going to figure out. It's never going to happen.
On the yellow IC, on the tip, there's this. What the fuck is on the tip, Dan? All right, is it the diamond?
It's not the diamond tip from WrestleMania 4. So I'm gonna dispel Joey for that.
Well, one of the previous owners of the Warrior IC was a member of Belt Talk.
Okay.
And he posted a picture on the tip on Belt Talk for about an hour, and he deleted it. And people are like, hey, what's going on? He goes, I thought about it. Every time something gets posted here, people are getting it bootlegged.
Right.
So for the people who saw it, now you know what it says. And for the people who didn't see it, tough luck. But the one thing I will tell you is that it's not a traditional a tip. Let me look for a tip. Just a tip.
All right. Well, Dan's tip hit something. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah.
Sorry, Ethan. Once again, you're fucked.
I'm never. It's never gonna happen, bro. I'm never gonna get that tip.
So this is your traditional style Midwest Reggie tip. All right. The Warrior IC does not have this. It has I don't know what you'd call it, like a flare, like a tip. Actually, let me see.
Mm-hmm.
Now I gotta dig.
Look at this man. He's got to dig through all of his belts.
Right.
Sorry, guys.
Work. Okay. So this is the style of tip that was on the Warrior IC. You see that little flare out?
Kind of like his face paint.
Yeah, the rumor that was always heard to me was there was a name on the tip and then a logo of a face on the tip. That was what was. That's the only thing I can come up with. I've watched WrestleMania 6 obsessively, and every picture I can find obsessively. It's one of my life's ambition to figure out what's on that tip.
Well,
too bad they didn't have HDTV.
We're obsessed with tips here at Culture Shock, Dan. I'm sorry about that.
When I start my membership page of Only Dan's, the tip will be one of the first.
I will be your first subscriber.
There it is.
I will be your first subscriber. Mark it down.
You heard it here first. We have an exclusive onlydans.com coming out.
So with the ring used belts, it feels like, correct me if I'm wrong, like year after year, the value has gone up. Like they're keep going up.
They keep going up, and the same thing goes for an authentic handmade belt made by the original maker. It's an investment. It's a piece of jewelry. It's only going to go up because the people who made them made the same thing on TV, and it's the same quality, it's the same artwork, and there's a limited supply and demand. And unfortunately, Reggie Parks just passed away. And there was somebody who was selling a winged eagle on Belt Talk for $10,000, and then after Reggie passed, he said, "I wouldn't take anything less than 20." So that's not a realistic price, but it's conveying the message that, all right, now what I have is truly a collectible because there's only a certain number that Reggie Parks has ever made. He's never going to make it anymore. So if you want to be one of those, I'll just throw out a number. Let's say if you want to be one of the 200 people in the world who own a Reggie Parks winged eagle, this is the price point to get into that.
Right. There's a lot of questions, Dan, about. We're going to skip to the AEW replica. All right.
Yep.
People want to know, when are they getting their hands on the AEW replica title?
The AEW replica is still on track to ship in December. We are doing everything in our power to make sure they are trying to get them in time for Christmas. There's no promises. Everything's a little wonky right now with the way the supply chain, that's your buzzword right now. You're hearing that everywhere. Supply chain, everything's going this way and that way. And there's ships stuck in the port and there's delays here and there. Extra money was paid, so they will be shipped via air, not ship.
Okay.
So hopefully that will avoid any potential delays getting stuck. So we are hoping December. And for people who keep asking, there were extras made. The leftovers will be sold on the AEW website. So if you were out on the pre-order, have that money saved. I don't know the price, so I don't know any of that side. I just know the supply side. So there will be supply available to purchase. It will be an in-stock item, probably. I don't know if it's going to be December or January, because the priority obviously is the people who pre-ordered.
Richard Simpson says, get yours restoned at Simpson's Restoning. And get yours re-leathered. Where, Dan? Where can they get this thing re-leathered? Take that shitty strap off and get a real strap.
I'm going to get my shitty strap taken off. Where can I go get a re-strap?
Oh, here we go. Look, he's got a flex. Here he goes. So this is the replica, right, Dan? This ain't this is the replica.
This is the replica. Right. I don't put my real one on camera. Okay, AEW officially licensed.
All right.
Stamp on the back. Woo.
So this is it. Okay. Let's try to get some.
I'm gonna full screen you here. Okay.
A little depth.
All right, go ahead. There you
go. Okay. There were some. Yes, that is the exclusive premiere of the Kenny Omega nameplate, which will be.
I was about to say, bro.
One of the nameplates that will be offered for sale on the AEW site at a different time.
Interesting. So, real quick, Dan. So they're only doing their own wrestlers' names on the nameplates? Is that only the champions?
The replica itself will ship with a removable blank nameplate, and then there will be the nameplates of the previous champion and current champion will be available to purchase individually.
Okay. Got it.
Now, regarding customizations to it, right now, I know for sure I will be one of the people who will be authorized to re-leather them because of the AEW logo being trademarked, being stamped into the leather.
Now, when you say authorized, that means you can stamp the logo officially. Yes. Okay.
Yes. There might be one or two other people that's still being worked on because I do believe there's going to be a huge demand to re-leather them. And we want people to get stuff that's done on the up and up, high quality. You don't just want anyone out there putting AEW or any company's logo on a strap. Mm-hmm. So I will be one of those people who will be offering both. This is the first time I'm ever doing this. I'll be doing a small amount of mail-out straps, and I will be doing full re-leathering services.
Well, put me down for one of your send-out straps because I will take it.
Look at that.
I want to be first. You're not first, you're last.
Yeah, multiple choice, guys. So you get a send-out strap.
I don't know if I have to put serial numbers in them yet, but
hey, I'm throwing it out there. I want first. You just let me know when it's ready.
For people who are new, Dan, what's a send-out strap and what's the other strap? For people who are new,
a full re-leathering. So a send-out strap is exactly the same concept of the strap that comes with it.
Okay.
It's going to be a real leather strap with real leather backing, but the holes are already going to be punched, and you just unscrew these plates from the standard strap, and they should be able to fit on your send-out strap.
Got it.
Whereas full re-leathering, it's just the leather front. I put the plates on, and then I put the black leather backing to cover the screws, just like you would see on TV. For anyone who is not familiar, Kenny Omega has been using a re-leather replica on AEW television for the last 6 months.
I thought so. It looked like a replica.
So it's If you check on the Belts by Dan YouTube page, I think I have 2 videos right now. But one of the videos is the world premiere unboxing of it, and I get into the details of the weight and the size. So it's a really good replica. The people in AEW were really clear about what they wanted. All right, They waited 2 years before doing this because they wanted it done right. This is not a quick cash grab. Okay,
Right.
This replica belt, because of the real belt is 4 layers. So this belt here is 3D simulated 4 layers. All right. Actually, let me get a prototype. I'll give you another exclusive.
Oh shit! Here we go. Yeah, listen, guys. Go to while he's getting an exclusive, go to beltsbydan.com. You can see all of his work.
And his YouTube page as well.
He's got a YouTube page with 2 videos on it.
Yes.
So give him some views. We need to have some more content put on there.
And the stoning, man, you got to see Richard.
Stoning. Simpsons restoning. Do the stones first. Please do the stones first before you send your belt for re-leather.
I got a question when he comes back about the stones from the TV version. Is that restoned or is that stock AEW comes with stones?
I'm telling you right now.
My guess is restoned.
I don't know. We'll see. Oh shit! Here we go.
So
the Batarang. Look at this thing.
So this was one of the prototypes. Okay. Now, if we look at it, the side plates are 3 layers, but we're simulating. Well, I mean, it's actually 3. It's a solid piece that is 3 layers deep. So we have our base plate, we have layer number 2, and then we have our 3rd layer, the AEW logo. And if you look behind it, you can see the 3 different depths. 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
I don't have my calipers on us, but this plate is thicker than a normal belt. All right. And what happens because these are casted style, it uses more material. It uses pretty much it was like 3 belts,
right,
instead of a single traditional 5-plate belt, because of all the layers. Each layer needs its own mold, its own cast.
Right.
So people kind of scoffed at the price point being $750. Well, if you think about it like this, the retail on this belt should probably be closer to $2,000, like the New Japan replicas, based on the layers.
You get 3 belts in one.
Right.
Yeah.
So based on the deals and everything, we were able to get the price down. People think $750 is a lot. When you get this belt in hand, you will realize that $750 for it was a steal. Right. Even if you're not going to pay for re-leather, even if you're not going to get it restoned, $750 right out of the box, it's going to be a great deal. And the belt is not restoned, but they are not using the plastic stones that WWE is doing. They are
so does that go for the TV one?
Excuse me?
The TV one now, is that restoned or is that the same stones as their replica?
No, that's stock.
Wow.
That's stock. All right.
So that goes to tell you that those are good stones.
These are glass. I was told that Richard did restone one, but I think that one I think Ron still has that one. I don't think that's the TV one. They might have swapped it out at some point, but this thing does have some sparkle to it. It does have some bling. All right. Unfortunately, my shitty lighting in here doesn't really convey it.
You said they're glass, Dan?
Yeah.
Those are glass stones.
Okay. They're not Swarovskis. They're not cubic zirconias, but they're not the plastic that's on the WWE belts. Okay. And you got to realize this is made as a mass-produced product for AEW fans, not necessarily belt marks.
Right.
So we tried to give the belt marks what they wanted. We tried to give the casual fan collector what they wanted by keeping that price point. So there is that compromise,
Right.
If you want more bling, you get it restoned. If you don't like the strap, you get it re-leathered. But for the majority of the people, out of the box will be more than enough for you.
It's going to work.
It feels like AEW made sure, hey, this belt, we're going to connect all our dots and we're gonna make sure it's correct. Every single piece, we're gonna take our time to getting this correct.
When they first contacted me and asked for my assistance on that project, that was pretty much paramount.
Right.
They go, we're not just throwing our name on something for a cash grab. We want to do it right. We don't care if it takes extra time. We don't care if we have to spend a little bit more money. We want this to, they literally said, we want this to be the best replica belt on the market. And as someone who has owned the New Japan V4, I will put this above the new, even though I have a relationship with New Japan, this belt is slightly better than the New Japan replica.
Hey, I want to let you know, when Ethan sends you money for the send out strap, he will be sending you $5,000 for the send out strap and a picture of that yellow IC tip.
Right? I'm telling you, man. It's
Listen, man. We want to know what's on the tip, Dan. Show us the tip.
You can't handle the tip.
Yo.
Well, I'll try.
So Dan, listen, speaking of New Japan, right?
Yeah.
You have a good relationship with them. As people can see, here it is. Let's show the people, for those who don't know or have been hiding under a rock.
Beautiful.
This is the IWGP V5. Is that the name? The V5, Dan? Do we call it the V5, or is it just the World Heavyweight Championship?
Well, it started off as the V5. Internally, it's referred to as the V5, and then the naming is the World Heavyweight Championship as far as title lineage goes. Technically, it is a brand new championship. So, if for people who are not familiar with the way wrestling companies make up their own title lineage, so
right,
the WWE Undisputed Belt is supposed to be the unified history of the WCW World Heavyweight Championship and the WWE Championship. Now, WWE flips and flops, but that title has its own lineage. Whereas this belt, the New Japan IWGP World Heavyweight Champion, is a brand new title consisting of the combined histories of the IWGP World Championship and the IWGP Intercontinental Championship.
So this was a unification of sorts.
According to the documentation and the lineage, that is how I understand it to be.
All right. What was that phone call like? First of all, when did you get the phone call? Was it like 3 a.m? How in the hell did they reach out to you?
They didn't contact me for that belt first. With COVID going on, New Japan America was trying to get off the ground, and then there were issues with traveling because of when COVID first hit. There were certain places where you could travel to. It was just a nightmare. So New Japan Strong became their big thing in California, and they needed producers, and they're using a lot of people from SoCal and the LA Dojo and the Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. So David Marquez was brought on as a producer, and he dropped my name.
Okay.
And they gave us much more control. Mr. Marquez actually helped design it. It's based off my Bojangles belt. So they saw the design. Mr. Marquez mocked it up. He did some drawings, sent it to me. We made it digital. New Japan had a few different ideas as far as what they wanted for the wording and the paint. We played around with some of the things, and finally we came up with a mock-up that they liked. So during that process, I had very little direct contact with New Japan. It was all through David Marquez. And then once they received that belt, then I got the email. It was an email first, and all of the big names in the company were on it, and they kind of explained what was going on, and we had to have a non-disclosure agreement signed, because that's not something you want leaking.
Hell no.
There's a lot of confidential information that was being passed.
Right.
And what the original thing was, they said, our current belt, it's falling apart. How much would you charge to make a new copy of that? and I gave them a price quote, and that kind of just put them in the ballpark of what I can do as far as pricing and being competitive. And I told them, listen, what makes that belt so expensive is the removable nameplates.
Right.
Each one of those removable nameplates costs around $100 or $100 plus, because you got to think about it like this: time is money, and that belt is very labor intensive. So each one of those nameplates you're cutting out. Each one of those nameplates you have to polish, copper plate, nickel plate, gold plate, and then finally paint. All right. So you can reduce a third of the price just by removing the removable nameplates.
Right.
I explained that to them, and they took that into consideration, and I didn't hear anything for them for a little bit. And then because I had the agreement signed, it was okay. They just sent me a bunch of stuff in the email. We took it off from there. As far as my involvement goes, I was the maker.
That's it.
Basically told them what was a possibility, what was not a possibility. And there was only one aspect that they originally wanted that I was unable to do, and that was mostly due to time constraints.
Right.
If you bring the picture of the belt back up.
Yeah.
If you look right above the World Heavyweight banner.
Yeah.
Those I guess you call them fins. They're supposed to be like phoenix wings.
Right.
Originally, those were supposed to be 3D and rounded, kind of like the way the domes are on the side. And that could have been made into a separate 3D relief piece, but based on the time constraints, it wasn't something that would be able to be done in time. So my idea to add that hex texturing, was kind of a way to kind of give it some depth to try to convey that.
Give it a little 3D effect.
Yeah, I know it doesn't pop the way a 3D eagle wing would, but based on, you have a certain budget and you have a certain amount of time.
Right.
If I had all the time in the world and they had an infinite budget, who knows what we could have done. But that's part of being a belt maker. You have to be a project planner.
Right.
They needed it for a certain date. We had to take into account that this belt is going from New York to Japan. And like we said, with with the way COVID was, there were shipping delays. So we also had to take into account customs. Sometimes belts get stuck in customs for 2 weeks. They just sit there until somebody's able to just physically inspect it. Sometimes they might open it. I got a belt from a foreign country for a major company last week, and they sent it 2 months ago. It sat in customs, and they just put the thing back in bubble wrap, and they just taped the U.S. Customs and Border Security tape around it like 50 times. And I thought that was good enough, and then just threw it back in the box. So, we are a global trade community, but there are other aspects of the business that most people don't really take into consideration. Number one, not only the shipping, but the people who designed the belt were Japanese. The artwork came to me with all of the notes in Japanese. So I had to get it translated, and then I had to confirm with somebody who speaks both languages, is this what you mean?
Gotcha.
If you look at this, if we look at the side plates, okay, so if you notice the side plates, the top left jewel is red.
Yeah.
And the bottom right jewel is blue.
Right.
When you look at a New Japan ring, the squared circle, the top left corner has a red pad and the bottom right corner of the ring has a blue pad. So there is a lot of hidden elements and different inspirations from some of the prior belts and some from the New Japan history, all encompassed into this belt. So you have to make sure that, like, I'm saying to them, like, hey, why don't we use this color stone, or why don't we add this color paint here? And then when I get their notes back, and I was like, oh, this is what they're trying to go.
Got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it takes a little bit more patience and more understanding, especially on their part, because I speak New Yorkese, so
Yeah.
sometimes some of the stuff I say, if I'm just spitballing, if I'm just talking, comes out differently, where I got to type it out and I have to make sure like it's proper
They
proper
understand
English,
it.
grammar, something that you can copy and paste into a text translator. That way it's easy for them to understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And all of that under time constraints too. So there was a lot of long nights, some sleepless nights, and a lot of anxiety. Like,
Here's the strong title you were talking about here, so everyone
Yep.
can see it. Now, was this one done first, or was the V5 done first?
that was done first, although the V5 debuted before this.
Okay.
They taped the strong season, and they didn't debut the belt until later in the tapings.
Okay.
Even though it was delivered first and it was used first, based on the way that the tapings and the matches were put out on Fight TV, this belt technically came out after.
There's a couple questions here for you, Dan.
Sure,
one
shoot.
from Richard Simpson here. Will there be replicas made eventually? He's talking about the V5.
I've offered my services and pushed for it. I believe they're going to be working on it on their end. I don't know.
All right.
I don't know any aspect of that, but I think they will.
And Randall is asking, did Dan make David Marquez's titles for his new promotion?
I've made several belts for Mr. Marquez. When they had the championship wrestling from Hollywood, one of the tag belts was stolen. I made him a replacement. I re-leathered the Hollywood belt. I re-leathered the Arizona belt. I made them the TV title, and then I made them the United Wrestling Network Heavyweight Championship, which Chris Dickinson recently won. And Mr. Marquez also announced that we will be working together on a new belt, because the Hollywood Heritage title is going to be retired, and a new belt will be replacing it.
Oh, shit. All right.
Now, going back to that strong title, like, even though it's a 3-plate belt, like, it's the artwork is simple, but man, that belt just pops looking at it. Like, it just.
Yes. And it's a layered belt. So on the side plates, the New Japan logo is a stacked piece. And on the main plate, the strong banner is a second layer. And the New Japan lion in the center is a third layer that sits on top. So when we did this belt, they wanted it dual plated. And to be completely honest, I didn't like the way the dual plating popped. So what I did is I used a metallic silver paint in the edge spots. And that's the pop you're seeing.
Yeah.
The pop
So that's
is
all
from
paint there.
Like, I'm one of those people who are really critical. Like, I get on Wildcat all the time. Like, add paint to your belt. You have some really good designs. Nobody can make them out from more than 12 inches away, because there's no pop, there's no contrast, there's nothing to highlight the details. This was an example of a belt that probably would have suffered the same fate, and just a little bit of paint. It's a silver paint. It's a metallic paint. And that just adds just enough of contrast to kind of give you the popping of the design.
And that's all it took.
Now, for your tooling inside of the snap box for the V5, like, how do you come up with that? Because that is gorgeous. Like, your tooling inside of the snap box is amazing.
his snap boxes are A1. Like, I don't know anybody doing better snap boxes than Dan.
Like,
Bro, I get dizzy looking at it, bro. I get dizzy.
Most of the time, I very infrequently get creative freedom over the strap. So like, they had an idea of what they wanted for the strap, and then I said, hey, what do you want for the snap boxes? And they kind of said, figure out something that goes with it aesthetically.
They gave it to you.
I've been really, even though we all live in the same belt world where there's the Reggie style or there's the Jamar style, I try to pay a little bit of homage to both of them by still using the 4-inch width. I try to keep the same borders like a Reggie or a Dave belt, but I try to expand that and make it my own by experimenting with different stamps inside the tooling box. That's a way I can make my product unique. Right. So for some of these belts, I'm getting one-off custom stamps made, or I'm searching out very rare, older collectible stamps that are no longer made or haven't been made in a long time.
You have a very nice box, Dan, by the way. Your
Thank
box
you.
is really nice.
I appreciate that, but you're still not getting to see the tip.
But in turn though, those intricate snap boxes make it harder to boot.
That's correct.
Right. Well, if you bring up the V5 again, sorry
Let's
to
bring that up. You want the snap box, right?
not necessarily the snap box, but if you go, yeah, right there. Okay.
right.
This the perimeter, the border tool.
Yeah.
That's 3 different stamps layered on top of each other. So that's not a single stamp that you can go out and buy.
Mhm.
That's 3 different stamps made by 3 different people that I've blended together in a way to give that effect.
Interesting.
Is it on the side plates as well? Or no?
It goes under the side
Yeah.
plates. The side
Okay.
plates cover it. One of the big sticking points with the first version of the belt was I thought the side plates were too big from day one.
Right.
They wanted a big belt. And then once they got it in person, they kind of said, yeah, the side plates are a little bit too big. So when I made the second belt that Will Ospreay has, those side plates are slightly smaller.
So you finish the V5, your name's out there. Then all of a sudden,
Well, everyone, hold on. Let's go back.
let's go back.
So they told me when the belt was debuting. All right. And you got to realize it's debuting in Japan. I'm in New York. And I know I'm going to get rigged over the coals for this belt. Okay. It didn't matter.
You knew when you first saw the design, right? Then you're like, were you like, fuck, I got,
I said to Dave Marquez, I said, Dave, the V4 is probably one of my favorite belts of all time.
Everyone's, yeah.
All right. And most people feel the same way. And it's like, I got to be the one to replace that. I go, it doesn't matter if I come up with the next Wing Eagle. It's something different. It's change. Wrestling fans do not like change. They do not like different. They want, what they've seen before, even if they won't admit to it. So it didn't matter what the design was. It didn't matter who made it. It was going to get hated. And the night of the event, I'm in bed and I'm just sitting there just staring up. And my wife is like, why aren't you sleeping? I go, the V5 is debuting tonight. I know they're going to kill me. She goes, just turn your phone off.
Yeah.
I said, okay. So I turned the phone off and woke up the next morning. My kids are screaming, Daddy, we want to wake up. So I do the whole thing with the kids, get them ready. And finally, I turn my phone on and then, ding, 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 ding. So they
loved it.
Yeah, right. The Photoshop of Cody's neck tattoo had me rolling.
That was actually good.
That was the best one.
That was
All
good.
right.
That was good.
That, you know what, you want to troll me, you want to perfect.
Make it creative.
I'll roll with the punches on that one. What pissed me off was the people saying it was the Divas belt.
Divas tat. Yep, I knew it.
It looks nothing like the butterfly belt. It looks nothing like the Divas belt. Coincidentally, that looks more like Cody's tattoo than. That's just timing,
it was definitely
right?
Cody's tattoo, man.
I will say I have to actually look at my emails, but I think we may have designed that prior to Cody's tattoo, so I might have to hire some legal representation.
Maybe Cody saw it and he was
Cody
like,
saw it. Was like,
might have been a leak somewhere. All right, there are belt makers out there who have been known to hack others' emails, so something might have gotten seen. Something might have gotten sent to Cody. Cody got an idea for a tattoo. Who knows? Possibility.
But everything calmed down. People have grown to like the belt, and
right. What's going to happen is it's going to grow over time.
Right.
The physical design of the belt is only one aspect of it. So I suck at this. Okay.
We look at people who hold the belt. You know what I'm saying?
Most people hate the design because it's simple. There's not a lot to it. But people love it because of the history, because of the wrestlers who have held it, because of the matches where it was presented as the most prestigious belt in all of wrestling. So it could be a garbage belt aesthetically or design-wise, but it is up to the wrestlers who hold it to treat it like it's worth $1 million, to treat it like it's a treasure worth almost dying to win. So what I hope is with time, with some of the matches and great matches that are going to be held to contest for the belt, that eventually a generation of fans grow up with it, because there's a bunch of kids out there who are like, oh, remember back in the day, the spinner belt? That was my favorite classic belt. And you kind of like, you're kind of biting your tongue
Yeah.
for several reasons.
But to them, you know,
And
right.
So
that's
There's
history.
That generation of New Japan fans was like, oh, the V5 is what I grew up with.
That's correct.
you know what? I'm gonna call your V5. So you know how you say like it's replacing an iconic title like the IWGP V4. For me, it's like after WrestleMania 14, the next night on Raw, when Austin gets the big eagle, I'm like, why are they getting rid of the winged eagle? Even though I love the blue big eagle.
Right.
But I feel like your IWGP V5 is the big eagle to the winged eagle.
A part of your soul dies when a
It
belt
does.
goes away. Like in one that you really grew up watching and treasuring as a kid. A part of you dies with it.
Right. It's a signal of the company going in a different direction.
Yeah.
And I've been watching more New Japan since, and there's things I like, there's things I don't like, but that goes with any wrestling company. Like
True.
you have to enjoy wrestling. You have to find the parts that you like and enjoy it. And then there's stuff you don't like, you don't pay attention to it.
Yeah.
Or you just skip. Like, great thing about having a DVR is if you see a match of a wrestler that you hate, you just fast forward it. Then with the way social media is, if you skipped over something that's actually important, people are going to be talking about it on Twitter. People are going to be posting
highlights
videos of it online. So you're really not going to miss anything.
Right. And so now let's go here, Dan. All right. I want to know how this happened. All right. So the TNT title was made, right?
Yep.
And, the first version got a little backlash. They felt it was unfinished.
But now it's a classic. Everybody loves it.
But, then the second one came out and people were like, I dig this one. Then the third one came out. They're like, I like this one even better. So why you for this one, then? What happened?
Well, what happened was Ron Edwardson was their belt maker, and he was working on other projects for them.
Okay.
AEW is still a young company, and they have demands for titles. So what happened when Jericho lost the belt at the steakhouse, they didn't have an extra belt. So they had to rush and get a second belt made.
Oh, Jesus.
So understanding the importance of having belts in case of an emergency, AEW went the route that WWE did, and they had multiple copies of each championship made. That way, if a wrestler loses a belt, there's a spare. If a belt is broken, there's a spare. If something gets locked in a production truck or stolen or etc., there is a spare. So a champion will not go without having a belt. And because Ron was their belt maker, he got tasked with making all those belts. So when he has other orders too. He has other people he works for, other companies. He's not a sole employee of one company. So what happened was AEW reached out to me because I have a relationship with them. I made the women's tag medals for them. I'm helping them with the replicas. I'm doing other side projects for them.
Right.
And they said, we need a belt for the video game, and we need a custom belt for Miro. And they needed them rushed. So this is belts, the order, you never have enough time. Everything is always, you have to have it done fast.
How much time did you have for this one?
I will not say that. I will say I had more time than
What was on the Warrior tip, Dan?
Well,
What was on the Warrior?
so not to jump the gun, but for example, Matt Cardona's GCW spinner,
Yes.
that was made in 28 days from the initial text he sent to me to the day he received it.
28
Now,
days for this
is that,
belt right here.
is that your fastest?
That is my fastest.
Look at that. 28 days. Dan will get you guys a belt in 28 days, guys.
No, I won't.
For a yeah, well, you figure
No, I
that's a
won't.
spinner belt. So for
Never
a single layer belt, 2 weeks.
That's crazy.
Right.
Wow.
Okay, but that's sometimes things go to the front of the line, and you're
Sure.
paying you're overnighting stuff here, you're overnighting there, you're trying to coordinate when this will be in. And you know what? The worst part of that belt was sewing the friggin' Velcro. I didn't get my.
He wanted Velcro on this one?
Matt Cardona wanted Velcro on it.
Did he?
That's a belt fitting for a sports entertainment universal champion. You can the only way to go about it is Velcro. So it has purple Velcro on it. And, under a time constraint, my sewing machine shit the bed and I couldn't get to work. So I had to sew it by hand.
Oh my God.
And I poked myself in the finger with the friggin' needle probably, 50 times. There's a lot of blood on that belt, and it's not only the wrestlers.
Your thumb looks like Sabu right now because of this belt.
Right. Okay, so 28 days on that. AEW has been very understanding as far as planning stuff in advance. So what they'll do is they'll say, we have this event coming up. Right now, the plan is to do XYZ. We're thinking of ABC for this person.
Mm-hmm.
Would you be able to get us a finished product in time? And then it's me calling around and talking nice to people and seeing if things can be done. And this was one of the belts where I was able to produce it in the time frame that they needed it done by.
Okay.
And what I will say, originally, the original plan for the Miro belt was to do a Gucci style strap, which was in the white strap with the green and the red stripe in the middle.
Okay.
What happened was the belt, if they ever wanted to use it for merchandising or for a Miro action figure,
right,
legal said that they might get some pullback from Gucci. So we went with the white strap, and to kind of make it a little bit unique, the backing is green behind all of the plates and then black backing behind the snaps.
Got you.
And
so
that was my way of trying to add a little bit of custom touch to it.
Right.
The execution wasn't 100% what I would have wanted it to be. They all can't be home runs.
Right.
But you never know until you make the attempt.
Are you ever there for the reaction of people seeing your title, or do they send you a video? Do you get to see that initial reaction?
No.
No.
Sometimes it's.
Damn, that sucks.
Sometimes it's better to.
Too nervous to see it? You nervous to see it?
Yeah.
Really?
Like, I get nervous about every belt because the belt maker, it's like being a parent where the ins and outs, every aspect of it, know the flaws. All right. The people or the customer or the client might not recognize the flaws, or it might take them weeks or months to even see it.
Yeah.
When you're the person who's made it, who has been looking at it for all those hours, the first thing your eye is going to jump to is that one flaw here or what messed up there. And I think the people who really care about their craft are the people who are going to be the hardest on themselves because they know they're capable of better.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like, I've never claimed to be the best belt maker. I've never claimed that I can do this better than anyone else. I think part of the reason for my success is that I'm able to deliver a product firstly on time at a very high quality. I kind of blend all of the essentials of what a company needs. Like, people out there make better belts than me, but they don't deliver on time. And if you have a pay-per-view coming up, the belt needs to be there. So a belt with slightly less attention to detail that makes it on time is better than the perfectly made belt that arrives a week after the event.
Right.
Have you ever made a belt where you weren't critical of it, where you're like, I knocked it out of the park on this one? Do
you have a baby? Do you have a baby? Like, not
this
your
is
next
my
belt.
Masterpiece.
Yeah. Because everybody wants to say their next belt's their masterpiece. Do you have a current belt?
The Bojangles is your masterpiece. Gotta be.
No, I don't see myself. Every belt is a learning experience.
Yeah.
So I take some of the good and the bad of one belt and I put it into the next. Like, there's some belts I've made for people that I knew were stinkers, not stinkers in case of the quality, it maybe just been a design aesthetic that I didn't particularly like. Some
Right.
some clients are very artistic and they want what they want.
Right.
So for example, the NWA national belt, I hated that belt from day one. I knew what they wanted to do with it, but I did not. I knew it was not the best, but that is what the client wanted, and they're paying me for my services. They're not paying me to
Design it.
They're not paying me for certain other. They don't want to hear my opinion. All right. Certain companies come to you. We need this made. We need it made at this time. Can you do it? Yes or no? If the answer is no, if there's any blowback or feedback that they don't like, they will just move on to the next person. So I was given a task. I delivered the product exactly as the client wanted. And as long as the client's happy, then that makes it a successful belt. With fans or the internet, shitting on it, really doesn't matter in the end.
You made the money. You got paid.
Right.
Now you did the Miro custom
Yep.
TNT title. I think Sammy Guevara also has a custom.
The blinged out one.
He has the blinged out belt. Yeah.
Now, is that yours are you gonna?
That was a belt made by Ron, and that was actually made. That belt was made a while ago.
Oh wow!
And they were sitting on it for the right time and the right person.
Gotcha.
I'm wondering if like any wrestler that wins that belt will get a custom one. Like
that's what I'm starting to think.
It's kind of unintentionally turned into that.
Yeah.
So what I did on the last belt I sent to AEW on the box, I drew an outline of a belt on the box. That way, if Orange Cassidy ever wins it, they can just wear the box around his waist, and then they have a custom belt for him. So I'm always thinking. I'm always one step ahead.
I'm not gonna lie, I kind of missed the white Miro belt because I mean it was different.
Oh no,
it was different. Yeah,
it fit him great.
Yeah,
it was sick.
Yeah, I was told he was very happy with it, and as long as he's happy with it, I'm happy with it.
That's what, and as long as AEW is happy with it, right? I mean,
most importantly, right?
All right, Dan, we're gonna play a little game. All right,
sorry.
This game's gonna be fun.
Not just the tip.
Right. Not just the tip. That game is going to be played later on after we get off air. All right. This game, all right, should be definitely fun for you, my friend.
Oh.
All right. This is called Rank That Bootleg. All right. Now, we need your ranking. We're going to show you a picture of a bootleg, Dan, and we want you to rate it from bad to awful. All right. So we'll say 1 is bad, 5 is awful. All right, so Mr. Ethan Thompson chose some pictures of some bootlegs for us. Where'd you find these bootlegs, Ethan?
I had to go to eBay.
All right, so eBay was the source for these. And we want your honest opinion on these things, Dan. What do you think? Take the licensing out of it. Take it all out. When you look at the product itself, what do you honestly think? All right, we're going to start with the Intercontinental. A staple in wrestling history. Here it is, Dan. What do you think? Rank that bootleg.
What is the 1 the worst and 5 is decent?
We'll say 1 is bad.
Yeah.
5 is awful. Like that's the worst.
All right. I will be kind and I'll say this is a 2.
Oh, look at that. Oh,
wow.
Look at it.
Look at that.
This looks like a Figures Inc., a very early 2mm Figures Inc. replica belt.
Okay.
With the logo inverted. I mean,
the macho logo.
Horrible. The strap isn't too good, but compared to many of the Pakistani bootlegs, they're not putting the camouflage shell tool right on the edge. They've actually given a border to it. So that's a small attention to detail that many of the bootleggers aren't paying attention to.
Look at that.
Now, I will say this: if you look at the wrestlers on the side plates, it probably looks like a 3-year-old drew them, and I would have deducted points if you took.
You get the ghost wrestlers,
the Casper.
Right. But part of the Pakistani bootleg maker MO is to. It's like the fat Instagram models that only take the pictures, with the camera facing down. so like you see their boobs and not their belly. This is the Pakistani bootleg version of that. Like they're not showing you
where they look
Ghost
different in pictures and in person.
Sometimes you got to hide in plain sight. We're not all 10s, bro.
All right.
All right. So Richard Simpson says it looks like shit. Looks like shit, he says. But go ahead, Dan.
Now, that emoji kind of looks like what I believe is South America.
Wait, what?
That is a very, very angular continent.
But I'm surprised, Dan, you gave this a 2, so this isn't that bad, right?
Yo, the stars are horrendous.
Correctly. They spelled everything right. It's not
That's
heavy
true.
beat. It's not champion. It's not Randy Orton. What other spellings have we seen on some of these?
Yeah,
Right?
it looks like South America has the tip that I need to find
There
out
it is.
what's on
South America just has the tip, man. You know what?
Yeah.
Dan gave this a 2, ladies and gentlemen. It's a 2. 1 being the best, 5 being the worst.
No,
2. That's
1
not
being
too bad.
bad, 5 being awful.
1 being bad, 5 being awful. Dan gives this a 2. All right. Next one, Dan. All right. This is a good one. This is a gem. We have the one and only the BMF belt. All right. The baddest motherfucker. This can be purchased from Lift Us. And it's free shipping.
And mind you, all these belts are in that $159 to $209 range.
Yeah, now this, I love the leather cut on the bottom there. It's not bad at all. Dan, rank this belt, or rank this boot, excuse me.
I wish I had more hands so I can give this belt 4 thumbs down. This is a 5.
So this one's an awful, this one's a bad.
This is terrible.
All right, and why is that, Dan? What makes this so bad?
Oh, well, you've already pointed out the awesome leather cut at the bottom. And as I mentioned on the previous belt, you see how they just butted up the seashell tooling right to the edge?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, Richard can appreciate the stonework, though.
So I'm looking at my replica of this belt
those
right
are
now.
Those are not stones. Those are polished rocks. They went to their backyard. They found some rocks. They polished them up real nice, and they stuck that sumbitch in there. And this is atrocious.
So I'm looking at my replica of this belt right now, and
Yep.
this belt that was on screen was all off. Like the color scheme was bad.
Right.
I mean, I like the design on the side, the left and right
Well,
of the
the
main
gold
plate
behind the BMF should be all silver as well.
I'm assuming this is all flat too, whereas
it's
the
gotta
real
be.
one in the replica is a 3D, sticks out.
It's very best quality.
The gold on the outline of the main plate should be all silver and should not have no details in it.
There's no gold on that belt.
there. Richard Simpson says this looks like camel turds. I mean, you know, it's not for off.
Take a look at that 500.
That
Like-
looks like a ghost.
Those are some lopsided titties, if you ask me.
Well, that's not. So that's an awful, Dan. You give that an awful. All right,
That is true.
that's an awful. We'll give it a round of applause anyway. All right. I mean, let's go to it. Everyone's waiting on this one, Dan.
Do you have something that hits close to home?
That's coming up. But here we go. Dual plated. Dan, rate that bootleg. Now, to me, this isn't that bad.
So this is 2mm brass.
Yep.
It-
I will give this a 4.
A 4. All right. That's a 4.
Here, this is what we're going to go with, okay?
All right. Now, give me the reason. Yeah. Why is it a 4? Dan?
So they get bonus points because it looks like the sidebars are actually attached.
That's correct.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
They did not butt up your seashell tool to the border. They did make some attempt at putting a space there.
Okay.
But let's look at that heavyweight banner.
I mean, the heavyweight.
The heavyweight.
The heavyweight.
Heavyweight. All right.
Somebody was heavy on the paint.
Yep. And they lose some points for chicken in the winged chicken. The continents look better on this one than the other one. And the feather texturing, they just gave up. They made one set of lines and they just copy pasted the shit out of it. There was no attention to detail there. And why is the eagle's tail nickel?
Yeah, like the butt of the feathers.
The butt feathers tell on this belt. The butt feathers tell no lie.
This was the chicken that was kicked out of the flock. All right, you know, he had a little
coop.
Yeah. So
Bojangles wouldn't put this on a biscuit.
Don't blame the chicken. All right. So we're gonna give this one what, Dan? Which one was this?
This is a 4.
It was a 4. We gave it a 4.
It has potential.
I agree.
I mean, the H doesn't even look like an H. It looks like an I.
To me, it wasn't too bad. You know, I mean, 4 was a little harsh. Maybe a 3, Dan? Can we bump this one up to a 3?
I try to be fair in picking the pictures.
You know, maybe a 3, Dan. We were keeping a 4 on this
one.
Hold
on. Well, there's no curve on those side plates.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It looks like only the fins are gold-plated. And I'm sure we have more ghost wrestlers.
So we're sticking with a 4 on this one.
The wrestling champion's the wrong size too.
I just can't move them. I can't move them.
I'd like to see the tip because with these belts,
wouldn't we all?
There's always
what is on the tip?
There's always some leather sticking out of the tips. It's like a muffin top where there's like just a little bit of leather leaking out from all sides of the tip.
I bet you they have the half tip of death.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, we got a few more here. You ready, Dan? This one's a big one. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Rate that bootleg. Here we go. This is once again from the big company Lift Us with free shipping. What do you think?
I want to see those side plates so bad. I want to see all of the misspellings on those side plates, or if they even made an attempt.
They purposely hid them.
They didn't get them that close. Yeah.
No. Does Corel Draw have like autocorrect on it?
I'm pretty sure it says Rock Resner.
Oh boy. Rut-row.
Now 1 bad, 5 worst. We've already given a 5. We've given a 4. We've given a 2.
This is a 7.
Oh my God.
Hold on. Are those purple stones?
I believe they are.
I think on the left and right of the red stone in the middle, they are purple stones.
Come on. These people didn't even try.
But look at that not removable front plate, though.
That non-removable, removable front plate or nameplate isn't too bad. Right?
Maybe Lift Us is one step ahead of the belt world, and they're using magnetic nameplates.
Yo, Lift Us, man! Shout out to Lift Us.
Is brass magnetic?
All right. This one's a good. So what do we rate that one, Dan? That's a 7. That was a 7. All right, so we're creating ratings here. That one was a 7.
Dan Belzer gave that 7 stars.
All right, Richard Simpson said he is confirming he did not restone that IWGP. All right.
I figure the next one might be a 10.
Now here we go. This one's a doozy. All right. Dan, rate that bootleg. This once again, Lift Us is very popular.
Dude, they got a lot on eBay right now.
Oh my goodness gracious!
Big company.
Now
looks like
I don't think it's too bad though.
Looks like a kid's belt.
This is a 3.
Okay,
now,
all right.
All right, they get some bonus points. All right. The stitching is actually straight, although it shouldn't be that close to the edge. But that's actually they got a decent sewing machine. Okay.
Okay.
And if we look at that side plate, the wrestlers are a separate stacked piece.
Right.
On the main plate, the wrestlers are stacked plates. World Heavyweight Wrestling Champion is spelled correctly.
Mm-hmm.
We have a crown with 4 jewels. They got the color correct.
Okay.
And then, they lose points for the faux removable nameplate. But look at the screws. instead of just making them straight, they kind of angled them so it mirrors each other. Somebody put like a lot more time into the nameplate than they needed to. Like instead of the usual 30 seconds of work, they might have put in 45 seconds to change the angles, then mirror.
Dan, would you re-leather this if someone sent it to you and said, I want a Belts by Dan leather? Would you re-leather this thing?
I would not be able to do this belt justice on my leather.
This gets a 3. This gets a 3. All right, for the grand finale. Grand finale. Dan, rate that bootleg.
Not brought to you by Lift Us, by the way.
Give me your honest thoughts on this thing and what the hell is going on here.
Okay, this is a 4.
Wow. Holy shit.
4.
I thought it was going to be like a 10.
No. Well, let's see.
Now, what do you commend about this belt? What do you commend?
Okay. Well, number 1, let's look at the side plates.
All right.
It's actually a square.
Okay.
They have the right amount of jewels.
Okay.
They have the red and blue motif correct.
Right.
They made an attempt at the dome, but they lose points because the domes are inverted plating, where the water is gold, and on the real one, the water is gold and the continents are nickel. So they messed up there.
They inverted it. Okay.
Yeah, I caught them on that. And then we're losing some points for the grommets. They don't look like they're gold, although on the left they do. They're not aligned right. They're spaced wrong, but some people, depending on my pictures, might say that's accurate.
Okay.
When I put them on, they were straight, but the weld on the back is not centered, so they kind of spin with your fingers. Main plate, they just threw some stones at it and just hope they stuck. I mean, they didn't get the colors of the stones right. They didn't replicate all of the layers correctly. They didn't dome the New Japan logo. The font is completely wrong. They're missing stones in the champion banner. Oh my God,
I would love to see the snap box on this thing, honestly.
No, you don't.
So
they lose some points for. Let's look between the left side plate and the main plate. We have those 4. I guess we'll call them attempts at a seashell stamping. All 4 of those stamps are a different height, so there is 0 uniformity. So it's like they did 4 different stamps.
But I'm still surprised that you gave this thing a 4. I really am.
I have seen some really terrible bootlegs of this belt, and this is unfortunate. This isn't the worst. There is just some really bad stuff out there.
Yeah. Well, you know what, guys? I mean, honestly, that deserves a round of applause. I can't believe it got a 4. We're going to touch on one more thing before we head out of here. Dan, I saw something on your Twitter feed here. This is pretty cool. You're working on some belt stands now, because right now you can only get them from like good ones from like Top Rope, right? And there's a place that I got mine that holds plates. I forget the name of them, but they hold really heavy plates and they work really, really well with my belts. So why belt stands?
Stands by Dan's is the next step in the evolution of the belt hobby. You can't reinvent the wheel.
No.
So what I did is just made it prettier. So like spinning hubcaps were all of the rage. We're going to have stands by Dan. So honestly, I got a laser engraver, mostly because of the nameplate. So I'm going to be offering the Lexan nameplates, but they're going to be laser engraved. All right. These aren't stickers with epoxy over them. These are going to be etched, so they have a texture, they have a feel to them. They're going to look pretty close to acid etched real nameplates.
Okay.
I do have some samples here.
Let's check it out.
Okay. So,
Oh, nice.
So these are plastic or Lexan. All right, they flex, so you don't have to worry about the curve. And this is simulated gold. And I don't know if you could tell.
There's some texture on that gold. Yeah, it's a little
Right,
blurry, but there is texture.
There is texture here. All right, you can see it, you can feel it. So it's laser engraved. I'm still working on getting the settings correct. I can make it a little bit deeper. That's what she said. And it's not up to my standard yet. Once it is, then I will be doing the whole promotion, and then they will be available as a in-stock item to purchase on the Belts by Dan website.
Mm-hmm.
The stands, I'm working on them as we speak. They will be offered in that mirrored gold, the traditional clear, and then right now I have black and white acrylic in stock.
Ooh.
The acrylics come in any color. So,
okay.
If anybody out there wants like a neon glow in the dark belt stand, I can do it. If you want one that looks like texturized marble, if you want your belt stand to match your countertop, they make it. So all I have to do is just source it and then cut it in the laser cutter. So the stands by Dan's, they will be coming out soon, and I can offer custom engraving on them. If people want weird stuff. If you want me to put your name on the stand, if you want me to
can they do logos? Can they send you like a logo they want or whatever? Or is that too much?
They can send me their logo. They can send me their name. I can engrave anything on the stand.
Can you engrave on the stands? Like, so if I bought like 5 or something, engrave what's on the tip?
There you go. Hey, you try.
Will the stands hold? Will the stands hold any belt?
You try.
The stands will hold any belt. It depends on the thickness of the acrylic. So if you look at the North American behind me, this is, let's see, that's 1/2 inch. All right. That's not going to be the standard. I do have some that are 1/4 inch that are a little bit flimsy, but they're great for lighter belts.
Right.
So most likely they're going to be between 1/4 and 1/2 inch.
Right.
But they're going to be priced competitively. Based on what people told me, they will be cheaper than the stands offered by Top Rope.
They're a little pricey on Top Rope, yeah. And
yeah,
of course, I mean, the more you buy, they have like bulk
Mm-hmm.
pricing. You get 5 stands.
Yep. I'm competitive like that. I'm going to be looking around that $40 mark for the stands, but that does include U.S.-based shipping. That includes all PayPal fees. Right. I am a business, so you never have to worry about sending me money, friends and family. Everything is merchandise. So I'm a legitimate LLC. I pay my business taxes. I'm never going to have you do anything sketchy. So, but that's $40 your cost, and then each additional stand will be between $30 and $35, and if the more you buy, the bigger the discount.
Nice.
And then the same thing's going to go with the nameplates. This is our nameplate for the Undisputed, our nameplate for Big Gold.
Okay.
Let's see what else I got here.
Oh, he's got stuff, guys.
Yeah.
You know the
vibe. I need that NWA Luger.
These are, we'll call these betas because I didn't like them. This is a nameplate for the IWGP V5.
Just never be a beta.
All right, there it is.
And then we have a AEW nameplate.
Nice. So, guys, you saw it. You're going to be able to get some AEW nameplates.
Yes.
Soon.
Yes, you will. I have a deal in place with AEW that I will be able to do custom names, and I will be able to do some of the names of their contracted talent that don't have a nameplate at time of release.
Oh, so it's not just the champions. It could be whatever they. I mean, of course, contracted, but
Right. If it's a contracted talent, that falls into the agreement. If you're just a big fan of them and you want their nameplate, I do believe we will be able to do that.
very,
Could they
very
get
nice.
Could they get a Dan McMahon nameplate?
That's what I'm saying, bro.
You can get anything that fits. It's kind of like Twitter.
Yeah.
As long as it fits within that character, the amount of characters. As long as if I can fit it, and font of your choosing. So that's the great thing about the laser engraver.
Cool.
To me, I mean, that nameplate for the Undisputed, it looks like it could fit what's on the Warrior tip. So, I mean, if you get an order, Dan, you can't turn an order down. You know what I'm saying? Look at that. I told
Pretty
you.
close. It's pretty close.
It's right there.
Pretty close.
It's right there.
I want to ask one more question. Dan lives in New York. This Saturday at Madison Square Garden,
Come on.
there's a big event, big
Come
fight
on. Preach.
for the UFC welterweight title. Colby
Is that the one where Kobe's gonna beat Usman? Is that the one?
Colby Covington versus the champion Kamaru Usman. I want to know what your thoughts are for the fight.
Usman is going to wipe the floor with him.
Bro, chill.
There's a lot of stuff I can say that I just won't say. But I think Kobe has done a good job playing the wrestling gimmick, getting a certain fan base behind him. And I think he's kind of like Chael Sonnen, where his mouth and his gimmick is getting him a lot further ahead in his career than his natural talents as a fighter has, which is great because the UFC doesn't pay competitively as compared to some other combat sports. So if you have to hustle out there to get your money, more power to him, but he's in over his head.
I've been a fan of Kamaru since I was a big fan of the Black Zillions camp down in Boca Raton, Florida. And so I remember Usman coming up on the Ultimate Fighter and all that, So I've been a big fan of him, just seeing his evolution.
Right.
That's great.
I think it's going to be one of those things where he's going to just toy with him, have fun with him, and pick him. He's going to pick him apart.
You heard it here first, guys. Remember, everybody, listen. I'm telling you right now that AEW Replica's coming in December. You can go to Belts by Dan on Twitter, the website, beltsbydan.com, right, Dan?
Right, and I never really plug it, but there's Belts by Dan on Pro Wrestling Tees. So prowrestlingtees.com/Belts by Dan. You can be the first person to buy the Dan Beltzer New Japan 5-star.
You can jump on TikTok. Dan's on TikTok, ladies and gentlemen.
I tried. I'm trying to TikTok. My Dan, I got a big chest, but not enough to get the algorithm pushing people my way.
We'll link you with David Babel, and then you guys can do TikTok
100%.
and only dance.
100%.
We're gonna have to do some duets.
Yeah, some stitches.
Yeah.
We'll do some stitches with David Babel, and trust me, you're to the moon at that point, like Shib. All right, but I'll tell you right now, man. We had fucking fun tonight, man. We loved playing Rate That Bootleg with Dan.
We got to do that again.
We got to do more Rate That Bootleg. Oh, dude. We were pretty easy on you, I assume. I mean, I was expecting a lot worse ratings on these belts. But you were pretty forgiving. You were kind.
I'm not as mean as people on Facebook would lead you to believe.
No.
I am digging the Wrestling Belt Observer shirt. I'm not going to lie. I like that. It's got a ring to it.
I mean, somebody called me the Dave Meltzer of belts as an insult. And I was like, that's a compliment.
I'll take that. I would take that in a second.
Compliment any day of the week.
Follow Dan on Twitter, on Instagram, on the Facebook,
YouTube.
And I close with one more question, Dan. We have to address the elephant in the room. All right. The elephant in the room. Yes. Yes or no? Are you Johnny NWO, Dan McMahon?
No comment.
This was Culture Shock Live. Dan, thank you so much for being with us and hanging out. We'll have to have you on again. Guys, we will see you next week. Once again, don't forget to go see Belts by Dan on Twitter and beltsbydan.com. I'm Vinny Vegas. This was Dan McMahon. We got Joey V in the house. We got Ethan Thompson in the house, and we got Mike Jones in the back as always. We will talk to you next week. Have a good night, everybody. Take care.
Come on.